You're listening to Aging Uncensored.
Hi, good morning. Welcome back to Aging Uncensored. I know we've taken a little bit of a pause, so we appreciate your patience with us, and we're excited to have you back where we talk about all things aging. We have a special guest with us today, Thomas Duke from the Near Bereavement app. And I had an opportunity to meet Thomas. Gosh, it's been a couple months ago at a networking event. And here's my 10-year-old that I told you was going
Hey.
to say hi. Hey, I enjoy the podcast. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, you have a great mom, by the way.
I know. Oh, and that's just life. Your kids butt in tears, Zoom calls. I think a lot of people can relate to that. So, your podcast, Zoom calls, work calls, all of those things.
All the above.
But I had an opportunity to meet Thomas a couple months ago at a networking event and learn about the NearApp bereavement app, and was just really impressed with the platform and the purpose and the drive behind this group. And wanted to really happy to have him here with us today. He has agreed to come on and talk with us a little bit about the app and who can benefit from it and what is bereavement exactly, and a little bit about grief and how we navigate that. And this is for, not just older adults, but I mean, I think grief affects everybody at all phases of their life in all kinds of different ways. So, really excited to have you on, Thomas. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. I think you're awesome and looking forward to chatting on here.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about the Near app and tell us from the standpoint of where you're talking to like just somebody on the street, like that you just met.
Yeah, absolutely. So Near is an app on your phone, and it's a completely private place to store all of the memories of a loved one.
Hmm.
So pictures, videos, audio files, like voicemails. But there's also a journaling aspect. And it's really designed for those memories that you never want to forget, but you may or may not want to share with the world. We all have memories of people that, like I just said, you never want to forget, but it may be too intimate or personal. You don't want any outside commenters or anything like that. It's very straightforward. It's very user friendly, so to speak. And everything it really does, there's nothing else comparable.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love the fact, especially we have so many platforms to share information these days, Facebook and Instagram and all of this. And I it's not within everyone's comfort level, I think, to openly share things that are sensitive or personal, or, there's some things that you want to keep to yourself or keep to your close circle. And so I love the idea that this can be personal, it can be private, and you can share it with some family members if you choose to do so. Is that right?
Yeah, right. So it is completely private until you physically share it with a family member. This day and age, everybody shares everything on Facebook, good and bad. And it's really neat to have a platform that's kind of the opposite. It's meant
Yeah.
to be private unless you want to share it with specific people.
Yep, that's right. And I think, talking a little bit about grief, I think grief can be kind of taboo for people. I mean, I've taken care of adults for a long time now and seen grief in different ways and how it affects spouses and loved ones. And I've come in contact with people before who are certainly grieving, but feel very stoic and very much have a wall up where they almost won't allow themselves to be vulnerable in any sort of way. And I think that that's, there's cultural aspects of that. There's ways that people, you know, have been experiences before in life that kind of set them up that way. I mean, everyone's different. That's just the way we're made. That's the
No,
beauty of life.
absolutely.
And so I think, I have had family members or patients or loved ones before who like I can just see are struggling and it's so painful to watch, but they've been resistant to support in how we've known it before, whether that's like support groups or, other things that may not feel like a good fit for them. And so that's one thing I think is so great about this app is that I think it can be a good
Right.
fit for those people who stand out like that.
So, like you said, nobody really likes to talk about um, death, dying, grieving, or mental health for that matter. And it's just really neat to kind of be involved in something that's addressing a need that's always
Mhm.
been there.
Mhm.
And Near is really designed to be used on the user's time and in the user's way.
Yeah.
So it's, available to them 24/7. And for those people that don't want to express it, with other people, especially like grief support groups, I think they're great for some people, but other
Yeah.
people would never step foot in there. So Near is really cool to, you know, let it be offered to them. And like I said, let it be used in their own way and their
Yeah.
own.
Yeah. And we're backtracking a little bit, but will you tell us kind of the story about how Near got started?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so one of the founders of Near, she lost her husband several years ago, and she had all of her memories and voicemails saved on her phone. And she was not the most tech savvy person. And she went to a friend of hers and said, "Hey, I cannot lose these voicemails. Is there anything out there that I can save it to?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely. There's tons of stuff." Well, everything she wanted, nothing out there was user friendly enough for her to use it.
Mhm.
And he goes, "Let me talk to a friend of mine." So they started developing the NearApp for this woman. And that's really where all this stemmed from. Both of them were business owners, and they said, "Wow, this can help a lot of people." And we just kind of took that and ran with it.
Yeah.
And it is cool. And not to jump the gun, the app was designed for those people who have already passed away.
Mhm.
But more and more people, including myself, are using it for people still here.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to be able to save voicemails, and start documenting the journeys of people that one day won't be here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that because I mean, we help a lot of people with brain changes and chronic illness and aging, and all of that is associated with change and decline and functional decline and cognitive decline. And caregivers and family members often grieve the loss of a patient with dementia long before they're gone because they lose,
Absolutely.
or a patient with, Parkinson's or a neurodegenerative disorder or anything that we know that is progressive like that. The grieving process for the caregiver and the family starts long, long before that patient's gone.
I did want to share, since launching the app, I've lost two very close family members,
Mm,
one of which is my grandfather. We lost him 2 months ago,
mm.
but he did pass with dementia. And I wish I had Near years ago when he was still able to tell me all of the stories of his hole in ones.
Oh,
Now that
man.
I'm golfing more and more at some of the courses he did, I just wish I could be able to listen to him. "Oh, I got a hole in one on that par three with a 6 iron." Um, but we take time for granted, and he's no
Yeah.
longer here, and I'll never be able to, know those stories anymore.
Well, and like, I love too on the platform how you can do, I mean, you can journal, you can do video, you can do pictures. I mean, we all carry our phones around. I had a patient this week that I was working with who has some brain changes, and she said, "What's that little computer you have in your pocket?" And it's true. Like, we all have these little pocket wizards, as some of my friends call them. And like, I mean, we often like snap photos or videos or any of that. And like how cool that we can do that in real time. It doesn't feel like it's not necessarily like something that's cumbersome that has to sit on our to-do list of like, oh man, I need to get around to making that,
Absolutely.
memory book or whatever. It can happen in real time.
Right. I've started one for my grandmother. Thankfully, she's still in good health.
Uh-huh.
Every time we have family functions, I always take some pictures, whether it just be her cooking in the kitchen or her with her grandkids, and starting that way before she passes, just so I do have it and I'll be able to give it to my family.
Oh, I love that. Like, and being able to, I had a um patient recently pass away who was in his 90s and had just actually had his first grandchild in his 90s. And I shared this app with that family because I thought it was such a special way. I mean, and we actually already had like a lot of photos and fun videos of him and things like that. And um shared it as a platform to kind of organize it and be able to share it with his grandson as he gets older. As his
Right.
grandson gets older, he won't, unfortunately, he won't be here to see that. And what a special way for him to like look back and watch videos and watch things like that.
Well, he'll be able to learn, who he was.
Yeah, that's right.
And, just to share one of the ways I use it in my life, I shared with you at one of our first meetings about I lost a sister 12 years ago, building out a profile for her, not only for myself, but to be able to give it to her son one day.
Yeah.
Like you just said about that man's grandson, I want Jackson to be able to go and learn who his mom was, read all these stories in a private manner where he doesn't have to worry about anybody, commenting negativity things. And
Yeah.
just a private space for him and his mom.
That's right. That's right. That's really special. Um, yeah, that's really special to me. It's kinda like I think about my mother-in-law is a meticulous photo keeper. She's got walls of albums and, I mean, from decades and, throughout her lifespan, and, I mean, those are really special. They're, you know, I don't keep photos like that, like she did. I mean, everything is, digital on my
Right.
end. But it is so cool to like be at her house and like pull one out and like look through it. And even my kids will be like, oh my gosh, is that dad? Is that mom? Like, who is that? And like,
Right.
it's really neat, even from like, not even a bereavement standpoint, but for them to just look back at that and feel a connection to it. And how cool to have it like condensed and, in a way that's even more, you know, receivable and applicable now than like a room full of photo albums.
Right. We're just going more and more into the digital age, and it's just nice to have, that in your pocket. Go to it
Yep.
whenever you want, whether it be, I was talking to somebody this week and I said it's designed in your time, whether it be 1 p.m. or 1 a.m., you can always go to that and be with your loved one.
Hmm. That's right. And so tell me about some of the collaborations that you all have with maybe other groups where you are working with them to provide the Near app to their patients or to their family members and loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. The longer we go, it sounds cliche, but grief is not industry specific.
That's right.
So some of the people we have met with and, are working with, I never would have dreamed would be interested. So it's just really neat to be a resource for everybody. We're obviously talking to home health companies, hospice companies, home care companies, kind of concierge people. Thanks to you, we've kind of got our foot in the door at UAB. We're moving forward with a few departments over there,
Yeah.
but just tons of organizations across the city. It's just really been amazing. Um, just the reach where we're already getting, and we're not even a year old yet, and it's just
Yeah.
really neat. And really, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. That's incredible. So with these organizations, you're able to like partner with them where they can offer this service to their patients and family members in kind of an organized way. Not like they're just like downloading an app, but they can kind of customize it to where they're getting resources specific to that group. Is that right?
Right, absolutely. So we can partner with people at 3 different levels, um, free all the way to fully integrating it with their services, and like you just said, having it customized to that business.
Mhm.
So we come in and we create co-branded material and create a custom sponsorship code where that business can give it to their clients, give it to their families, or even their own employees. And when they download the app, it will reflect that sponsor. So it
Awesome.
truly becomes an extension of that business's services.
Yeah. That's amazing. And what an incredible way for like these groups to really offer support in to family members and caregivers and so much of our time is like focused on the patient, and I think there's a thought process now like, hey, maybe we should look at these people that are taking care of them too.
Right.
And
One
so
of the first people I met with um, immediately said, "Can I give this to my caregivers?"
yeah,
Ma'am, and she
yeah,
goes, "Well, I think the families would like it too, but we have so much caregiver burnout.
yeah,
We need to do more for them."
right,
Like you just said, it's just, yeah, maybe we should look at the people taking care of them,
yeah,
because if they're on service for an extended period of time, you create a relationship with them. It's not just
that's right.
a customer provider. You care about these people.
Oh, I know. That's actually one of the hardest things is like we have a lot of patients that have caregivers that are with them for an extended period of time, and when they pass, it's really hard on the caregivers. I mean, understandably it would be. If you're with somebody 8 hours a day for 5 years and then all of a sudden you're not, like, that's a huge change in all the memories, and I meet with caregivers all the time who, maybe it's someone with they're taking care of someone with advanced dementia, and they started caring for them 7, 8 years ago when they were, still walking, and they were going out with to lunch with them, and they
Right.
have all of these memories and very much become like a, integrated part of the family. Um, so
No, you're absolutely right. And I shared with you, we haven't said it on here. My background is in hospice,
mhm,
and I still think of some of the families that touched
mhm.
my life, and it's just incredible in such a intimate time where families are closing the doors to most people, in the healthcare world, being able to go in.
Yeah,
It's really just a humbling experience.
absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with that. Um, well, this has been great. Thank you for sharing this with us and talking through this. I mean, I think a lot of people can benefit from this, whether, we have listeners that are healthcare providers and sharing that information or caregivers themselves, family members. I think it's really special.
Yeah, it's really neat in everything it does. There's really nothing comparable. So it's really cool just to kind of be a part of something from the beginning and watch it help so many lives.
Mhm.
I encourage everybody to download it. It's on both app stores, and, don't take time for granted. Start,
That's right.
creating memories, and everything's stored on encrypted servers. So no matter what happens to your phone, as soon as you get a new one, download the app, all of your memories and profiles are there.
That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. So encrypted servers, so everything's secure essentially. Like this is
Correct.
not going to get out. Like this is a secure platform, right?
Yes, it's very secure. We've never had any issues with that. And, everybody creates their own profile. So, each individual user is secure, so to speak.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Thomas, for joining us today. It was
Yeah,
such a pleasure to
absolutely.
have you.
Thank
And
you for having us.
yeah, absolutely. And everybody go check out the NearApp, share it with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. Um, check it out. And I think it'll be a good tool and resource for all of us to use.
Thank you so much.